other in person. First time doing a show in person to court Tinley.
Yeah, it was like a brief. You kind of brushed by each other in Vegas, right? Said hi real quick.
Yeah, quick.
You were taller than I thought. I do remember that.
That's what everybody says. They say taller and better looking. They're like, man,
I didn't get that second impression. The second part didn't hit me like that. But I was like, this dude's definitely bigger than I thought he would be.
It's true, man. It's true. We are here in Denver. Not everybody that watches the show knows, but All City is a network across the country. But the headquarters are here in Denver at the DNVR bar. It's a bar we own. So we're actually in a bar. Got ourselves a beer here. And we have a studio right inside the bar. What do you think, Legs?
I am so impressed with this setup, man.
It's not bad.
I'm actually genuinely looking at properties on Zillow right now in Denver, man. So I could do this, like, be in person with Adam every day.
It would make scheduling a lot easier.
That's for sure. I'm sure that's true.
So I'm rooting for that as well. Also, man, we were talking right before we went live. I had to cut you off because I didn't want this story till I got it. But, you know, you had a cup of coffee here when you were a player.
I did. Literally, practically as long as a cup of coffee. Couple 10 days when I was first starting out my career, undrafted, coming out of LaSalle in '88, did the whole CBA, which is now the G League, Europe, come back, some 10 days. Phoenix was my first couple of 10 days. And then I come to Denver, I think it was 1991, I'm pretty sure. Head coach was Paul Westhead. Anybody older Nuggets fans will remember those days, right? Tried to lead the league in scoring.
Run and gun.
He did the same thing at Loyola Marymount and actually caused quite a wave in college with some of the teams they beat. Incredible tournament run. Bo Kibble, Hank Gathers, like those teams. Then comes to the league. Of course, prior to that, he was a head coach for the Lakers. Comes to Denver, brings me in on a 10-day, and I came in the same day with another player.
I can't wait to hear
who
this is.
And we both came in, took a physical. That night, we weren't clear to play it like 24 hours. We sat behind the bench and watched the Nuggets play, and they were one of the worst teams in the league. Let's be fair about it. We're sitting there watching it. And then the next day, our 10 days began. We started playing, and I made it 2 10 days.
Hell yeah.
This player only made it 1 10 day.
That's right.
And this player went on to have a hell of a career in the NBA. And he did some really special things with the Knicks.
Okay.
In the mid-'90s teams.
Mid-'90s Knicks.
So you're thinking about
the
the Derek Harper, Patrick Ewing, John Starks
teams. Who was this, man?
Anthony Mason.
That's who it was?
Anthony
you guys
Mason.
Came in?
Yes.
All right.
Who I believe
Knicks legend now.
I believe has passed, if I'm not mistaken. I think Anthony Mason passed away.
Is that right?
If I'm wrong, I really regret that. But I think
fact check.
Yeah, fact check that. Yes, Anthony Mason, and
that's wild. Did the Nuggets, do you look back and you go, man, I could have been the Knicks legend?
No, but here's what I will tell you about that. I felt filthy after games because of the shots that Westhead was asking me to take that I knew weren't good shots.
Yeah.
Because of the pace we were trying to play. We were full court face guard pressing.
Yeah.
At the NBA level. You know who's on that team, by the way?
Who?
Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf.
He's good.
Was on that team.
He was good.
Todd Lichty was on that team.
Yeah.
Okay. We had Joe Wolf was on that team who just passed recently.
That's right.
Michael Adams.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I think he would have been gone by then. No.
Fat Lever.
No, he would have been gone by then too.
I played with Fat in Dallas.
So that era, that around was Van Exel there?
I think Walter Davis was still on that team.
Okay.
Orlando Woolridge, I think, was on that team.
All right.
Danny Shays, possibly.
Okay. Wow, that's the very end of the 80s
Blair
era,
Rasmussen,
really.
One of those centers that was getting dunked on a lot because we were face guarding, pressing. Marcus Liberty was on that team.
So a lot of breakaways.
And they were getting 3-0 breaks the other way all night long, and then we were trying to outscore them the other way. But anyway, I was taking a lot of bad shots. And I was pressing because I wanted to make the team, and I didn't shoot a great percentage at the time that I played, and it didn't work out for me. But I thought that was a pretty cool fact. Anthony Mason came in the same day.
That's crazy.
And he went on to have really, really good years with the Knicks.
Yeah. So you were with Mahmoud, man. I mean, he's a guy that was before his time, I feel. Like, what did you make of him at that time? Because he's little guard, off the dribble, pull up threes, and just jumpers in general are not that common. He was doing it a lot.
That was his rookie year, and I was blown away by a guy that size that could get his shot off that quickly off the dribble against anybody. I think he might have been the quickest to release the basketball,
get it up
off of the dribble into a jump shot and release the ball off his fingers than any player I've ever seen. Mark Price was a guy I played against that I thought was probably at the time was that. I think Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf was even quicker.
Yeah.
How quickly he got into his shot. This is unbelievable talent.
Yeah.
But we were trying to approached winning it the wrong way in the NBA.
Yeah.
It didn't lead to a lot of success, and so I wasn't here very long, but I certainly enjoyed my time here.
Man, do you ever know? You know, Mahmoud was doing the big three like 2 years ago, and he was giving buckets.
I know that.
And
I
did
saw
you
that.
watch him?
I did see that. Yes. Well,
That's almost as impressive as LeBron, to be honest.
I mean, he always came across as a guy that would have probably kept his weight down and stayed in shape and kept playing and running, and he could run like a deer. If for the younger people listening to this, it was Chris Jackson coming out of LSU, became Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. Go check out some YouTube highlights on this guy.
Yeah.
You're going to be blown away by a guy that he was small, man. He was under 6 feet tall, getting his shot off against anybody in any tight space, any tight window. And
when he caught fire, man, they call him Steph before Steph. I think that, nobody's Steph, but he was one of those guys that could hit 4, 5, 6 in a row, and it was so fun to watch, man. That was a fun stroll down memory lane, man.
Yeah,
you come to Denver?
And we had the cool uniforms, too.
Yeah.
Those are the great uniforms.
This is the Rainbow Skyline?
Yeah.
You had
absolutely,
that's awesome.
Man.
I didn't know.
I think I still have one of those I snatched. When you get cut from a second 10-day, you take anything you can get on the way out of the locker room. You don't care. You don't care. Like, bill me. Go ahead.
You got a second one, man. Send it. We'll put it up in the bar.
Yeah,
we'll be the only bar in America with a Legler Nuggets jersey hanging up in
I have one somewhere, man, for sure.
That's incredible. All right, on today's show, we're going to get into it now because there's some fun games. Really, I wouldn't even say fun, man. Today, almost a downer show because we're going to key in on two teams right now that mostly it's negative stuff. We're going to talk about the Pacers a little bit later on. I guess we're going to talk about Hartenstein, my guy Hartenstein. I had to work him into the – you're here now. I got to work it into the rundown.
I'm looking around. Is there a jersey hanging up anywhere?
There's not a jersey here.
I predict there will be an Oklahoma City Hartenstein jersey hanging up in this bar by the time this season's over.
Dudes, keep playing like you did last night. It might happen sooner than you think. We're going to talk about his debut, but we got to start with the 76ers. Last night, falling to the Memphis Grizzlies, 117-111. They fall to 2-12. We talked about them all week, really, because they are the story in the NBA right now. There are only a few teams that are falling out of contention. When we came into the year thinking, okay, these are the teams. They're 2-12 now. Are they out? I don't know. But last night was the first time we got to look at Maxey Embiid and Paul George together, and it was the first game since Maxey had called out Joel Embiid, among other things, the players-only meeting. And you saw it. Joel Embiid played 35 minutes. He goes for 35 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and a block. 1 of 5 from the three-point line. And I don't think he looked great in that game, despite the numbers. But I do think that he looked like he was trying harder, like he was taking on more ownership of it. But my big note, and I'll throw it to you this way, you can take it wherever you want, but my big note was that felt like game 1 of the season for the Sixers. There was some clunkiness. Guys didn't know where they were supposed to be. They were playing a little bit harder. But that's the problem. We're 14 games in, and that was their first one. So, to me, I was almost impressed with the effort, but unimpressed, obviously, with the result because they're playing catch-up so much.
First thing I need to start with is what you said about Embiid, and we tend to do this on this show. You go a little bit softer on guys. Talked about this before. I could lay my head on you like a pillow. Sometimes when you go in soft on people.
I don't like legs in studio. I want him away again.
If he has one more take like that, I'm going to come over to someone and just put my head right on his shoulder and take a nap. No, listen. Here's the thing. I completely agree with what you said. Look, the production is silly. 35 and 11,
big number.
35, right. But what you were alluding to, you say you didn't play great. I agree. And an even bigger picture for me, nothing about him said positivity, good vibe. We're going to bounce back. I'm here now. We're going to be okay. It's the same sort of head down, mopiness, body language not great coming off the floor. And look, they got behind double digits at one point in the second half, and they never really cut it below double digits. So, it's maybe at some point he thinks they're going to lose the game. You've been out all year. You're back. You're an MVP 2 years ago. You're one of, if not the most single, unstoppable offensive force in this league as a scorer that this league has. You being back, and I know that this stuff got leaked about the meeting, and you're all upset about that. I get it, man. But your message should be to everybody, your team especially, I'm here now. It's going to be okay. He didn't exude that at all. He puts up these kind of numbers because he's that talented.
Yeah.
He's that big. He's that skilled. There's not really an answer for him. I didn't like the way he was carrying himself like around the court. And then, of course, he gets hurt at one point, Like, it looks like it's bad. He turns, the ball's going the other way. He grabs his knee, points at the bench immediately while they're breaking down the court, comes out, jumps on one leg off the court. I'm like, oh, this guy's done. He's done for who knows how long. Paul George, by the way, already out of the game by re-injuring his hyperextended knee.
Yeah.
But then Embiid did come back. He finished the game. He came back in. He did some more things in the fourth quarter. So that's good. That's a good sign for him. I just didn't like the way he carried himself. There's a vibe around this team now that is so negative. He is, to me, too much acting like a victim. And that has to change in that city. And he's even doing it now with the meeting. He thinks whoever leaked this meeting, he's calling them out. Whoever leaked it, he's trying to downplay what happened between him and Maxey. He's saying, but if you guys don't blame me, I'll take the blame. Like, saying stuff like that, this passive-aggressive victimization, it doesn't work. Period. As a pro athlete, it especially doesn't work in a blue-collar city like Philadelphia.
Right.
When you're 2-12. Enough. Show up, project that I'm here. I'm good enough now to get this thing back on track. I don't care what's happened or what's been said. I don't blame people for questioning me. We have not won a championship. We haven't even been to the conference finals since I've been here. And I have an MVP in my pocket, and I've been hurt a lot in the postseason. I'm here now. We're going to turn this thing around. And he didn't project that, Adam. And that bothers me because that almost speaks directly to what Maxey was saying. He's late for everything. You know what he's really saying? There's no leadership.
Yeah.
We're sitting around a charter waiting for him to show up. We're sitting around meetings waiting for him to show up. And he didn't go to detail like that. Like, I'm assuming that's what he meant. I've been in a lot of locker rooms. I played with teammates like that. Okay? It is I'm more important than anybody else in this situation type of mentality that brings everything down. That's what Maxey was alluding to. And when you act this way and victimize yourself, when you get some negative feedback, you really feed right into that narrative. So for me, this is much bigger than what's going on right now with the health of these guys. At some point, they'll get everybody back. All three of those guys will be healthy at some point this year, and they should be a force on a nightly basis to be reckoned with. I'm much more concerned about the vibe and the dynamic around this team. Is that a winning mentality that this team has right now?
So one thing I think about with that is he's not a young guy. Do guys change at this age? I don't know what he is, 30 or 31. So you look at this and you go, it almost feels like a glass of cold water is being poured on him. And it's like, okay, well, maybe he'll internalize this. The city's mad at him. All the teammates are mad at him. Coach is mad at him. I go, he's beyond the age where I would even hope for him to change at this point.
Great question. And I will say the answer to that question is yes, but only when your skill level starts to diminish. And you then can take on a different approach. You start to appreciate the end of your career is probably closer than the beginning of your career. And you realize you can't quite do the same things, and you almost take on more of a mature approach and something where you're appreciating every day what you're doing, and they can bring out the best in your personality that can help you win. But if a guy stays on the level that he's this dominant, he's had this much success, he's won an MVP, he has all these platitudes. No, probably not going to change until that changes. Because at that point, you realize I can't do quite what I used to. So now it's almost like you have to go ahead and ingratiate yourself with everybody, the fans, the media, your teammates, everybody, and try to lead a little bit more and actually just take more joy out of what you're doing every day. That guy looked miserable last night, and he put up 35 and 11. So it's like this weird thing. It's two sides of the same coin. On one side, it's like, look at this talent. Are you kidding me? He does this effortlessly. On the other side, it's like, yeah, but will he ever break through as a winner if he projects what he's projecting right now? He's in a bad place. He's lost some of the cachet with the fan base. He's lost some of the cachet. Obviously lost some of the cachet with the media.
Yeah.
They're writing columns about him, and he's shoving guys in the locker room about it.
Right.
So right now, he's sensitive. He's a little bit insecure, and he's defending his position, and he's playing this passive-aggressive stuff with what he's saying, and he needs to get it behind him as soon as possible. Nothing speaks more than your play on the court. And look, if that's not your personality type right now, to be vocal and upbeat and smiling, great, whatever. Go dominate, but don't do anything that detracts from being a leader of the team by being late, by not practicing when you're ready, when you're healthy to practice. Those kinds of things. that will absolutely endear yourself to your teammates and put off the vibe that you want for everybody observing that every day on a daily basis that's in the inner circles of that team, including the media. They're going to start to see that. But right now, he's in a really bad place. They obviously are 2-12. No one's playing. Paul George, haven't heard anything yet. I don't think they announced it today. Did you see anything?
I think I heard something that it was going to be a while, but yeah, I mean,
he missed what? How many games the first time?
It was probably a 7 or so.
Right,
I don't know. Yeah.
Exactly. Probably about 3 weeks. This is just as bad as the same knee. Okay, I would say, I'm not a doctor. I didn't see it. I'm just going to throw this out there. It might be twice as long.
Right.
At some point, though, and hopefully by my Christmas Day game against Boston that I'm calling, they'll all be back. And then we'll see how it plays out.
You're on that one on Christmas? You're on Sixers on Christmas?
I got Philly Boston, man.
Yeah.
The 5 o'clock game on ABC. I'm very excited about that. So, but can we get everybody out there?
Yeah.
I want to see everybody playing, man.
Of course, man.
I haven't had much luck this year with the games I've called.
You're the unluckiest guy. I don't want you calling any more Nuggets games, man. Or I don't know. I don't know if it's
I
you
got
or
a
what.
feeling. Now I only know my games so far up through Christmas. We're about to get, I think, another game dump coming soon.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it's the Nuggets. I got
the Nuggets,
feeling
man. Yeah,
they're on
you'll
TV
be here.
a lot.
Yeah,
I got a feeling I'll be back out here.
I don't want to just rag on Embiid because there's other stuff here, but I am going to bring up 2 more points. One, obviously the conditioning, which I don't know how much you want to fault him, but it was an issue in this game too, because as much as he was getting points, the transition part of his game was horrible. And there was one play in particular, and I don't know if you're going to remember this one. I think it came in the 3rd quarter. They get a dunk. I think it's Ricky Council gets a dunk. They walk back. He walks back on defense. The team jogs back. They don't match up, and it's a trail 3 for Jaren Jackson Jr. wide open. It was 6 seconds, or about 5 to 6 seconds from the dunk to the 3-point attempt, and you think that's a made basket. They had to take it out, and they got a wide open 3. And you saw Embiid look around like, "Who is this?" I was sitting there thinking, if it's not your guy, you sure as heck didn't get back and tell somebody how to match up or participate in that. That was an issue as well.
I didn't bring my notebook up here, but I have a notebook that I take notes in every game I'm watching if I know I'm going on TV after the game, right? So I'm literally writing down almost every possession, a quick note on what just happened, and it'll trigger my memory later. And then I try to develop a pattern throughout the game, and that's what I'm going to talk about if I go on SportsCenter, SVP, or whatever, right? That's how it all plays out. The reason I bring it up, you'll be surprised how many times in my notes I'll write the letters really big, usually, and circle them. SAS. It doesn't mean Stephen A. Smith.
Okay.
Score after score.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's the biggest pet peeve I have.
A quick score.
When you score, particularly something at the rim.
Yeah.
Or a free throw, and you give up something the other end easy, an open 3 or a layup dunk within 5-6 seconds, right up the floor, it's literally inexcusable. It's 100% related, well, not 100, 95% related to effort, 5% related to communication when that happens, and it should never happen. And it does. It happens every night in every game. You can't get caught off guard. It simply comes down to your first 2 or 3 strides back after your team scored are in a casual mode. Because if you're not in a casual mode, there's no possible way the ball can get ahead of you. Or you can be compromised to such an extent that now you're scrambling back to the paint and someone gets a trail 3 like he's talking about.
And that's what that one was.
That's what he's talking about. It can't happen if you're not in a casual mindset. So I remember the play. Look, Nick Nurse, I think, is one of the probably 5 brightest guys in the league. And it's saying a lot because there's a lot of really bright head coaches in this league. I think Nick Nurse is borderline genius coach, and he is dealt this hand right now. They have one of the best coaches in the NBA. They have $145 million tied into 3 players this year, I believe, something like that. And they're 2-12. This is one of the epic underachievements this league's ever seen.
Yeah.
And I've seen the data. Somebody quoted it to me yesterday. I might be misspeaking here, but something to the effect of 92 teams have started 2-11 or 2-12 to start the year, and only like 6 of those teams.
I think I saw this too.
Made the playoffs. Made the playoffs. Now, and my question immediately was, can I see all 92 of those teams? Because I want to see if any of those teams had this kind of talent at the top of their roster, and I'm going to guess no.
Right.
Meaning, this team is still potentially a team to be reckoned with, but it could get to the point where this is so off the rails, they completely get dispirited Now you have guys missing more and more time, and next thing you know, they're talking about Cooper Flagg, which, by the way, they are already talking about in the Philadelphia media base.
Oh, of course, you have to.
14 games in with that kind of talent on your team, they're talking about, well, okay, 2-12. Should we go all in for Cooper Flagg?
It's insane, man.
It's nuts.
It's
team,
nuts.
and I say, obviously, to me, that's absurd, because if you could just get up into that, whatever, man, 10 teams get in. If you got that kind of talent and you make even the play-in, or you get certainly to the 6th spot where you're guaranteed a best of 7, and I know this might be a reach. You're healthy at that time. With this group, might be a reach with Embiid and Paul George. But if you are, look at the rest of the Eastern Conference and tell me you don't think that team could make a legitimate run if they stay potentially out of Boston's bracket. Maybe they're the last team standing. So it's too early to go there. But what all I'm saying is there's a dark cloud right now hanging over everything they're doing, and it's starting to push the conversation in that direction.
One more thing on Embiid, just a quick one because I'm having fun with it. He draws a lot of fouls. The worst foul of his career might have come in this game. Jaren Jackson Jr. actually tried to flop, goes down to the ground, and Embiid beelines it for where he's on the ground and jumps and falls over him. And I just thought, what are we doing? What is basketball anymore? If he sees a guy on the ground and saw an opportunity to trip on him so he could get that one really bothered me. But I mean, neither here nor there. We move on here, some other stuff here. Yeah. McCain's obviously having himself a year.
Yeah, man.
I actually liked watching this game, the pick and roll combo of him and Joel Embiid. And, we obviously talk about Maxey and what he can do. He had a rough night last night as well. He missed some shots he needs to make. But McCain, you think about having two options at pick and roll and a big screener like Joel Embiid who can make something if they put 2 on ball, or if you get the ball in the pocket pass, Embiid's going to score it. McCain, to me, almost is different. Like Maxey, it's full speed. He stops on a dime. He does this stuff. McCain is almost smoother coming around those pick and rolls to a way where when I was watching that, I go, that's a real combo. I kind of like that. And there's a thread there for them to pull on if they can stabilize.
And that's the tragedy of what they're going through these injuries, because I agree. They found a player.
Yeah.
And look, Dalton Connect's going off now too. That's a whole nother topic because I love Connect.
Yeah.
But the first, 8 games or so, Philly, which got trashed the night of the draft by their fan base,
right?
Because they passed on Connect to take McCain at 16. Connect goes with the next pick. Everybody kind of knowing Connect's really NBA ready, and he's finally breaking out right now as we speak. But early on, Adam, everybody was thinking like, hey, you know what? Maybe we got the player in Philly, and they did. My point is they both can play. I saw Philly up close against the Lakers. I called that game, and I was so impressed with Jared McCain because he has one level of intensity, man, and it's all out offensively. But he has the ability to change speeds at the end of it, so he's not just all rushed wild. He goes so hard at you with his cuts. He runs the floor. He gets the ball, and he's going 100 miles an hour. But then he's able to stop, slow down, be patient, and shoot under-control shots. He's a natural scorer. He's a perfect complement to the 3 stars that they have.
I agree.
And he's getting extended run right now because they're missing those guys, one of them at least, on every night. So he's getting a lot of run right now to get even more confidence here early in his career. If they ever do get healthy, man, what a nice addition as an additional scorer to have. And Nick Nurse was raving about him to me. This was probably 10 days ago when I did that interview with him, just about what he's watching every day. And if there is any sort of silver lining in what they've gone through, it's the fact that Jared McCain has had more opportunity. They know more about what he is.
It was interesting to me, too, that he started last night. He had Kelly Oubre off the bench. So that's your top 6 right there, Kelly Oubre and then McCain and then those other guys. Caleb Martin obviously filling in the gaps. And I looked at that and I just go, it's so weird that we are here, 2-12, because I like that top 6. And I even like last night, Caleb Martin, I'm a fan of his. Kelly Oubre, I'm a fan of them. And I saw moments, I'm a fan of them as role players because they defend, they have length, and they're like not hopeless offensively. They can do some things. And I saw that and I go, this team still has some stuff if they can get it together, because I did like the rotation that they had, minus one guy. We'll talk about Andre Drummond in a second. But all those other players, as bad as the game was, one of the reasons I had the pillow take early on is because at least when I was watching it last night, I go, this looks like a team that's playing their first game of the year, but the pieces make sense to me, and there's something there if they can just figure it out right away.
And by the way, I just thought of a sponsored segment.
Oh, no. Is it another soft take?
For this show.
Is it another one?
No.
Charmin, what are we doing?
So we get the low. Maybe it's Adam.
Yeah.
Or James, rather, brings his voice down low.
Yeah.
And we hit him with, and now Adam's Pillow Talk. Adam's Pillow Talk.
Are we beyond it? It's
where he's
2-12,
about
already
to give a
beyond it.
soft take on something. right?
I'm a lover, man.
You pulled
I'm a
punches
lover.
on a beat. It's fine. That was a lot like, like watching Tyson and Jake Paul the other night. It was like, nobody really trying to hurt anybody out here. It's fine, man.
Clip this, by the way, because the Embiid people think I'm a hater. So say that I'm
What do you guys
soft.
think? Jay, what do you think? Adam's pillow talk. I like, yeah, I love it. You get a little Barry White, music in the background. Anyway, last thing on McCain.
Sure.
And again, I noticed it on tape, but I really noticed it when I was watching him play, sitting courtside. If you took his thighs and calves,
Yeah.
and you took off from the waist up, you got rid of that, and you replaced that with Desmond Bain, what would you have? You'd have Mr. Universe.
just
Just this dude,
you're right.
right? Just this dude. And I would like to see that for one game.
Yeah.
Because that is a lot of scoring in one body.
it really
right?
is.
So could they do that?
Could they pull it off?
With that body? It's almost like Desmond Bain had to have thinner legs and McCain had to have a thinner body, or it doesn't work at all. So I don't know if that would work, man. Or that'd be like a 40-point score. I don't know. But it just stood out to me. He had a band around his calf.
Yeah.
That looked a lot like a headband that I think Andre Drummond wears. And I was like, why does this guy have a headband around his calf? I've never seen it before. But listen,
Thick guy.
End of the day is this. The end of the day, what we're saying about Jared McCain is the guy can play. They found themselves a player mid-first round. This guy's going to put up numbers in his career. He's going to be a natural scorer. Got great intensity. He's also got a great joy about him.
That's important.
Which is something we love about Maxey too. So now they got two guys like that.
Yeah, they got two. They got a couple guys. I think Caleb Martin plays hard. They have guys on there. It's just you're missing the leader.
Yeah, he has just really struggled to shoot. Caleb Martin, I don't know what's happened to his jump shot. You know, and look,
shots should get easier though for him.
Well, I always wonder, man. Immediately, guys go in there and struggle. I wonder if it has something to do with playing in Philly. I do
really.
I do think there's a pressure there. Look, Paul George is shooting.
Well,
he was shooting 39% prior to last night, and here's what's not a good sign for him. So now he's probably 38%, 37, whatever he's shooting. 6 of his 8 games have been on the road. He hasn't even gone through a stretch at home where he hits you with a 4 for 18.
Yeah,
because that can have carryover. Believe me, in a series or even to the next game. It's definitely tough. It's a lot of pressure. They demand a lot. I've been in that city a long time. I played college basketball there. I know what it's like. I appreciate that kind of fan base. But I'm just saying, shooting a basketball, there's a lot of pressure that comes with that. And right now, Caleb Martin, I don't know if that has anything to do with it whatsoever, but I think it's between his ears a little bit with his shooting. He was a better shooter than this in Miami.
Well, with Paul George in particular, who could have seen this coming? Everybody that's ever watched Paul George play in their life. Do you really mean this? So, Philly, because sometimes I feel like this stuff is exaggerated. Is it one of, if not the toughest place to play, just in terms of the fans will let you know instant feedback? They
do, and here's how I will describe them, and I think this is a compliment to them, and I get it. They will forgive, as a basketball player, they were going to forgive a 4 for 18 night. They will forgive it. They'll forgive shooting slumps. What they have a hard time with is anyone that looks unsure or afraid.
Right.
It is exactly why Ben Simmons played his last game there after what happened in that series with Atlanta. It's exactly what happened to Markelle Fultz and why he had to find another home to go try to be an NBA player. Both of those guys, former number 1 picks. Now, Ben Simmons at least had a lot of success early in his career in other ways. Once that got in between his ears where he didn't process scoring opportunities normally, and everyone could see it when he would avoid free throws at all costs, that series against Atlanta, when he had a 7-game series, 5 fourth quarters as your starting point guard without a field goal attempt. Think about what I just said.
Yeah.
Including the epic Game 7 pass up the dunk to try to find somebody when you're all in under the rim. They can't respect that. Because it's a blue-collar city where dudes are getting up at 5 a.m., setting their alarm clock, and they're going off to work that day. They're not afraid of anything.
Yeah.
And they're coming home, they want to pop a beer, and they want to watch their favorite players play, and they don't want to see that. How could you be unsure making all that money as a number 1 pick? So, and this isn't describing Paul George or Caleb Martin, but as a number 1 pick, but it's something, and look, it's too early to know if that's what they're going through. I'm just saying it is a difficult place if they sense that. It becomes hard to thrive.
Yeah. Well, we just got a breaking news right now. You want to hear it? On Paul George.
I thought you were going to say something about Jokic tomorrow night.
I just heard from somebody that I heard they think he's going to play tomorrow. I mean, I think circumstances right now are making it. You never know, but
You're going to have to give more credibility to this source.
Well, I'm saying while I was sitting here, I got a source.
Okay, all right.
But this is according to Shams. Philadelphia 76ers star Paul George has a bone bruise in his left knee and is listed out for the next 2 games. But reevaluated on Monday. So despite
great.
how it looked, it might be
Did you see the replay of it?
I didn't actually.
Okay, because it was a super, because you already had the
knee goes the
hyperextended
other
knee.
way, yeah.
Super, land all stiff-legged, and then the knee joint kind of goes like this, and he already had the injury. That is phenomenal news.
Yeah.
That's big news because, like I said, man, they can't go any more extended periods of time right now without these guys.
Yeah.
And you know, it's iffy. They finally get Maxey back. He's on a minutes restriction last night. He has a rough shooting night. Didn't play a ton.
Really rough.
And so, you know, do you expect that? I have no issues with Maxey. He's going to hit his stride. And Embiid clearly last night already doing things. They need all 3 of these guys together. It only takes at this point a 3 or 4 game winning streak. And everyone's going to start to go, watch out for Philly.
Yeah,
they're
they'll be a
getting
5
it together.
seed.
That's all it's going to take. But to do that, they need to get healthy.
Yeah. Last thing I have on here, not to bang a drum, but Andre Drummond, I thought it was really weird that Nick Nurse went to him in the 4th quarter because they had kind of, you know, they were hanging around 10 points or what have you. They go to Andre Drummond, who I don't love to begin with, but they had to match him up with Jay Huff. Jay Huff comes in and drains a couple threes. And and here's the thing that happens whenever you go to a big off the bench like Drummond. You're like, let's throw it down to the post. Well, you're down 10 points. You're throwing it to a big guy just because he has a size advantage, but he's not exactly like, you know, Akeem Olajuwon down there. And he misses a couple post-ups. He gets wrapped up, goes 1 or 2 at the line on a couple post-ups. And I just go, that was a game to me. You're down 10 that I didn't think you could go to that moment. And the lead ballooned to 17 or 19 by the time Embiid came back in and the game was over. The game was probably over either way. But that's the problem Drummond presents to you. He's a big body. But if you're down 10 points going into the 4th and you go to him, you're not catching up.
Well, I think you speak directly to the vibe I was saying I felt the whole night. I did not feel like they thought they could win that game.
Man, that's weird. You might be right, though.
It just didn't look like they really thought they looked almost like, okay, let's just get everybody back for a night and see how it goes. We're just glad to have all 3 guys at our disposal. And, of course, George goes out early and Embiid goes out at one point. And
right.
I'm sitting there literally, I remember when Embiid limped off the court and there was a timeout and just watching Nick Nurse like huddle up with his staff. And I was thinking, this poor guy, give me a thought bubble on Nick Nurse right now and what he's thinking about what they've gone through already.
Yeah. All right, let's take a break. On the other side, I want to move on to another game. The Pacers and the Rockets. Pacers struggling just like the Sixers are. Maybe just as bad. I can't wait to hear Legs' thoughts. The Rockets are interesting. And then later, my guy Hartenstein makes his debut. We'll get to that more on the break. Real quick. Create an account and use the code ALLNBA for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code ALLNBA for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Let's also talk about goals for a minute. How are you tracking with the ones you set for your business early in the year? This is the time. I'm doing it right now with my personal life, looking back at all of the goals and seeing which ones I hit, which ones I did not, and getting ready to set goals for 2025. If you have year-end goals for your business, Constant Contact has what it takes to help you meet them faster. No matter how experienced you are with digital marketing, Constant Contact has the tools to make your marketing run smoother. Sell more, raise more, and build more genuine relationships with your audience with Constant Contact's suite of digital marketing tools, all made to fast-track your success. You no longer need to struggle with expensive, slow, and unmeasurable approaches to market your business. You can get Tap Email Marketing that helps you create and send the perfect email to every customer. Own the smartphone by adding texting to your marketing strategy. Connect with over 2 billion people on social media with an all-in-one tool for posting and sharing, and sell more online in less time with Constant Contact's powerful e-commerce tools. Time to put the go in your 2024 business goals with email, social, SMS, and customized marketing campaigns built for you in just a few clicks. Ready, set. Now go to ConstantContact.com/AllCity for your free trial. That's ConstantContact.com/ALLCITY for your free trial. All right, back here, segment 2 of the All-NBA show. We've got Tim Legler in the house. He's calling the Nuggets-Mavericks game tomorrow night, so we got him in studio. Let's talk about the Pacers here. They are also on the struggle bus this season, and they were on the struggle bus last night to the tune of a 130-113 loss to my Houston Rockets. That's right, I'm claiming them, my Houston Rockets.
This guy.
Any team that's good, it's my team, man.
Your closet must look like a Foot Locker store, man. You got so many jerseys hanging in there. He claims everybody.
Have you seen my Orlando Magic?
Oh, here we go.
Have you seen
Here
them?
we are.
They've been looking pretty
And
good. Hold on. Have you seen my Franz Wagner?
Hold on, time out. I get teased when I say my Washington Commanders, and I refer to them all the time as we need to do this. We didn't do this.
Well,
as if I'm on the team, right?
That's right.
At least they've got season tickets. I mean, my goodness.
You know
He's
what,
just
though?
claiming guys from all over the league.
You could claim them if you wait till the end every game, because you never know when that Hail Mary is going to come through for you.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I heard it was great.
From the
I heard that
parking
was
lot,
great, man.
crowd's going nuts over there.
You know the great thing about a Hail Mary, though? You know what?
Yeah.
If you have faith, you don't need to be there to see it, man. You know what I mean?
That's what it was. I love it, James. We're rewriting the script. He didn't leave because he thought it was over.
No.
He knew they were going to win.
That's exactly what it is. It's exactly right. It's like every time a psychic goes on America's Got Talent, and I always ask right away, well, how do you already know that you didn't win?
That's right.
You should know that.
They should know it, man.
Why are you going through this week after week?
Well,
anyway, I digress.
Speaking of should have won, the Indiana Pacers are 6-9. There's a lot of games they should have won.
My goodness.
Last night, Tyrese Haliburton continued what has been a weird season for him. 1 of 7, 1 of 5 from 3. First of all, 30 minutes, only 7 shots. He was a -28. He had 4 points, 8 assists. They are not figuring it out yet this year. What happened in this one, and what do you think's going on with them as a team?
That's a very good description of what's going on with them. And so here's a couple things. I've seen them play a lot. I watched all of this game in particular. And I'm going to start by making just a broad statement about Tyrese Haliburton, because I think this is the main thing that has to change. If you recall, a year ago, Tyrese Haliburton had a meteoric rise. Not even midseason, it was before that. It was like around the in-season tournament.
Yep.
You remember?
Yep.
Guy went nuts. And a lot of people already thought Tyrese Haliburton's a really good player. It went to a completely different stratosphere. Like the NBA, the narrative was the NBA has a new superstar.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, add him to the list of superstars. That's how good this guy is. You played out the rest of the season, and he didn't have that level of success the rest of the year, but still very, very good. Did not finish the year well. Goes with Team USA. Is the sacrificial lamb, basically doesn't really participate in the Olympics, gets his gold medal anyway, seemed to handle it well. I'm going to pat him on the back for that because it had to be hard. Has to be a blow to the ego, though. Comes back from that, and now here we go. Pacers go to the conference finals a year ago. You're thinking, okay, they took advantage of some injuries. Maybe they're not a conference finalist team, but they're definitely a team that's top 5. And let's watch them now. And it's been a train wreck. And here's why. It's mostly him. Here's how I'm going to sum him up, Adam. You know we talk about guys' ceilings all the time. What's a guy's ceiling?
Yeah.
Here's the ceiling.
Yep.
You know we don't really talk about that often? Floors.
Yeah.
His floor's too low. Here's what I mean by that. I'm going to read you some games.
Okay.
This is his game log this year. I'm going to just pick out half of the games, his worst games. And I'm going to focus mainly on the shooting because I understand he still makes plays. They need this guy to score.
Yep.
They need him to shoot the ball well. 0 for 8, 7 for 19, 2 for 8, 2 for 11, 3 for 14, 4 for 13, 5 for 18, 1 for 7. That's almost half the season.
Yeah.
As a result, his numbers, 14.6 points in October, 15.7 in November, shooting 30% from the 3 in November, 25% from the 3 in October. His bad games are games in which you almost can't survive it. And that's why I say his floor is too low. I used to say this about James Harden. when he plays poorly and he goes, and he was even maybe a worse case of this because he had the ball the whole game, even if he wasn't playing well or
Right.
confident, right? So you can't overcome it. Now all of a sudden, this guy leads the league in scoring, and tonight he doesn't want to shoot the ball for 8 minutes. How are you going to overcome that when your team only knows one way to play? You can't. His floor's too low. And I say the same thing about Haliburton. On the bad nights, it's like you're off the radar, basically, as a player in this game offensively. That is what the problem for me with the Pacers is. The number one thing I'd write on the whiteboard. The second thing would be I don't recognize their style.
They lost it. They've lost their
What
style
happened?
a little bit. I think a lot of it is Haliburton.
Is him, his lack of confidence.
Because that's the engine. So if it's disrupted, everything's disrupted.
It's a swagger that came with him during this run. And we're like, man, this team's hard to guard. They're so hard to guard. The pace, the advance, the throw-ahead passes, and then they're getting into their sets so quickly. So many guys that could shoot. They make really quick decisions on any ball reversal. Nobody pounds it. There's no isolation player on the team. Literally. Loved it. I watched this game. You know what's really telling? I watched the entire game when it happened, and then I watched it again this morning on just the condensed version, which is about 42 minutes long to watch a game on League Pass in the condensed version. It basically cuts out all the fat of when the ball's coming up to half court and dead balls. So you can really get a whole game in. You can really see all the action that matters. Now, if it's a fast break, they'll show the whole thing. So they really do a good job of editing it. Here's why I bring it up. I watched the condensed version back, and there were too many possessions I was watching.
Oh, no.
Over half court. Meaning there was no advanced pace that would probably be either cut out or would happen really quickly. It was a lot of, okay, we're over half court. The clock's at 16. Now what? Run a ball screen, reverse it. A lot of guys standing. Not a lot of cutting. Not a lot of ball reversals. Not a lot of quick hitters. Not a lot of decisiveness. Too much dribbling out of guys not named Haliburton. I don't recognize the style. And this team right now has lost their identity, and I think their identity in large part was to attach to this young, emerging star playmaking guard that could score or facilitate or do both on any given night. He's had too many nights where he was a non-factor offensively.
Yeah. What is it, though? Right, if we go to Haliburton now, is it because, he's another one of these guys that has weird shooting mechanics.
He does.
And then the thing that teams can sort of, look at this. We get a little refresher on our beer. This is
I'm
perfect.
talking about.
From former super producer Emma. Look at that.
Can you leave this open, please?
Look at this.
Thanks for your time, open. Appreciate that. Appreciate
great work right here.
By the way, in Denver, is there an automatic service charge built in?
No, you're good.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
I learned that lesson hard in Miami years ago. I'm like, man, his bill's really getting up there. Yeah, the tip's already built in,
It's
idiot.
already in there.
Just give this guy 40%. Yeah, okay, now I get it.
But you really should tip Emma.
I know.
She's a great waitress.
Everybody tip
Great
our wait staff.
bartender.
Don't forget your wait staff on the way out.
No, but Haliburton has those funky mechanics, and I just wonder
agree.
if there's something too. All right, teams look at it. What is he doing? How do we alter a game? And he's dealing with that.
I think that's part of it. I think part of it is because of the quirky mechanics. If things start to go a little bit sideways for you,
What do you fall back
you're
on?
not just falling back on just a pure stroke.
Right.
Where it's a matter of time. If you've got a pure stroke, you're shooting your way out of this. It's just reps, and eventually you're going to get hot one night, and every shooter goes through it. So when you don't have that, it maybe gets in your head a little bit more. The other thing I will say is I've seen too many instances this year where Tyrese Haliburton came off of a ball screen or a dribble handoff, and I know for a fact that exact action would have led to a shot last year. He's going like this, and he's stopping.
Yeah.
And he's swinging the ball.
So he's lost confidence in that
That
part of
alludes
it.
to a confidence issue. Now, the shots he had last night, and she 1 for 7. The shots he had last night, he might have had one good shot that I would consider a good shot the entire game. He had 3 or 4 end of shot clock swung to him 30 feet out, let it fly. When you're already not playing great, that's the last thing you want to have happen to you. But my question is, why is a player that on a team that wants to play fast, that's got this size and length, and he can get his shot up when he wants, why is this guy having as hard a time getting clean shots?
Right.
What is going on with them? And they're 6-9, man. And, there's other teams upside down right now
Yeah.
in this league.
Yeah.
I mean, Dallas, right, would be an example of a team. You're like, Minnesota.
We know they're better than that. Still figuring it out. Yeah.
Right? The Knicks, I think, starting to get a little bit better now. But they made a massive trade, so cut them a little bit of slack because they got, and I guess Minnesota as well. It's a change. I'm just talking about relative to expectations going into the season. Where are they now? Obviously, Philly. There are some teams upside down in this league a little bit. I think Indiana's one of those teams. The question is, though, do they have enough to now get this thing going in the right direction? Don't forget, Miles Turner is a guy that doesn't have a contract. He's the guy you're going to be looking at all year long going into the trading deadline if this doesn't work out. And so that could start to play into this as well. Keep an eye on the Pacers. I think their best basketball is yet to come, but it starts with Haliburton in my mind.
Are you buying them? I mean, to your point, they're 6-9, which is currently a 9 seed in the Eastern Conference, but 9-7 gets you to the 4 seed. Like, everything's still as bad as they have been. They're a 3-game win streak away from being right where we expected them to be. So, are you buying them, or do you think this is a thing about Haliburton? You got to sit and wait and just see if he gets over this hump himself.
All right, I'm going to go forward between now and December 8th. Listen to this stretch of games.
Okay,
this is going to tell you all you need to know. At Milwaukee.
They can win it. I mean, Milwaukee's struggling.
Tough game probably, but winnable.
But an important one, too.
Milwaukee's not playing great.
They're tied in the column, by the way. Tied in the record.
Listen to the next 4 home games. Washington, New Orleans, Portland, Detroit.
That's your get-right stretch.
You got it sweep.
Not just sweep, but you have to get your rhythm. You have to figure out who you are.
Then you go on a 4-game road trip at Memphis.
Okay.
Not easy. I don't know. John might be back by then. That's a touch. Call that a loss. At Toronto, bottom feeder team right now.
Yeah, but they play hard, though.
At Brooklyn, plays hard.
Yeah,
not a loaded team, but winnable games.
Winnable games.
For a team that went to the conference finals, if you just won 4 straight at home, you're going to carry that onto the road. You should win these games. And then at Chicago, Charlotte at home.
Yeah.
If you I don't know this off the top of my head, just statistically, I'm going to guess. How many games did I just mention? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
10 games.
I'm going to guess that is the easiest 10-game stretch on their schedule
Almost
this season.
Certainly, yeah.
You got to go 7-3, 8-2. That's going to tell us a lot. Now, it doesn't happen just by going like this. Halliburton's got to lead the way. Rick Carlisle's got to contribute to that. Other guys have to play better, but it starts with Haliburton.
I'm going to take this real quick. One note to the Rockets. I think that a good bench is such a luxury in today's NBA. We've talked about that. I love the bench that the Rockets are able to put together, and in particular, I mean, my guy Tari Eason, but also Amen Thompson, we both love. The ability to throw those guys out there, man, it's a wrecking ball. And they have really found their rhythm. Nobody's talking about the Rockets right now, but they're on a run. They're on a run right now, and I think a lot of it has to do with their starters are pretty good. They have like a lot of players that can do stuff there, but then they just start filtering their bench, and they don't lose anything. In fact, they pick up intensity in a lot of ways.
Deep, they compete. They've got a lot of tough guys on this team, and I think they're a reflection of their head coach. Look, Ime Udoka got himself some hot water in Boston. He might still be coaching there. He might have won a title. Right?
Yep.
I mean, who knows?
A good coach, I think.
Really, really good coach. You cannot deny that Ime Udoka knows how to coach. And he portrays this is going to be an alley fight.
Right. Yeah, he does have that energy. Yep.
Right? That's how he comes off.
And a team takes on that energy more often than not. If that's who you are, your team's going to have that.
I totally agree. And the other thing it does, you know what it does? It flushes out the guys that aren't up for that fight. Ooh. And they're not part of they're not part of what he wants it to be.
That kind of guy does not respect people that are not that kind of guy.
100%. No, not at all. And he's going to get down. He's going to pare that down pretty quickly to the 9 to 10 guys that I know want to get in this alley and fight. Because that's exactly how he comes off. And you can even see it. The way he talks, the way he looks at other players sometimes that make a basket, look over at the bench.
He has a cold stare, man.
Oh, he's like, let's go. I'll take you outside right now. He looks over to his assistant. You want to coach the next 3 quarters? Me and him are going outside.
I got to go.
Yeah, officials, whoever it may be. Ime Udoka projects that. And look, you can have whatever issues you want with him for whatever happened in Boston. That's a different conversation than can this guy coach. He can coach, and he absolutely grabs the toughness out of guys' chest. If you don't have it, you're gone. If you do, you're going to be in his rotation. You're going to win games because toughness and showing up every night wins in this league right now. Can you win it all without enough top-tier offensive talent? Probably not. But you absolutely are going to be in the mix if you just are tough and everybody plays. And they have a clear identity. That's what they have.
there's a couple archetypes, not that many, but a couple archetypes of coach. Across all sports, you could probably say this, but the one we're talking about, the tough guy, and I'm going to weed out the not tough guys, and I'm going to get everyone to be a little bit tougher. Who of the guys you have been around, who is the most that? And like, do you have any like just a story around this was a tough coach and he ran into a player that wasn't quite up for what was coming his way?
Oh my goodness! You're talking about at the NBA level, guys. I'm trying. Jerry Sloan.
Jerry Sloan. Oh yeah, tough guy. Really tough guy.
100%.
I think he quit because he had a roster. He goes, nobody here I can make tough. I'm out.
I was playing in Utah.
Yeah.
And we had a very good team, and Stockton and Malone were on that team. And here's why it was my first taste of.
That's a good answer, man.
This is my first taste of this is why this guy wins. He made John Stockton and Karl Malone accountable at halftime for what's going on the court because his total theory was, well, hell, if you're going to get all the credit when we win, you must have something to do with why we're losing.
Yeah.
And so by doing that, it galvanized the rest of the team. There weren't scapegoats. He didn't have people he picked on because he could. I've seen coaches do that. I've seen teams on the court get a 10-0 run against them, and the one dude that was busting his rear end get chewed out by the head coach walking off the court because that was the easy target. Because I'm not going to confront the star because that could lead to something. Jerry Sloan did not care. He went after the people responsible because they're touching the ball the most. Now, look, Stockton and Malone are two of the all-time greats.
Yeah.
Obviously, they played hard almost every night. But his point was, look, if we're struggling, you guys must have something to do with that. Take on a leadership role. Let's turn this thing around. Not that he wouldn't also chew out role players, because he would do that. And his biggest thing was, if you were not paying attention at any point in a shoot-around or walkthrough, good luck seeing the court for the next 5 games.
Right.
Because it was so important to him. But my point is he called out, and he was a guy also. You want to just, you know what? Let's just forget about fines and suspensions. Let's just go ahead outside right now, and let's just figure this out. Okay, that's what Jerry Sloan. That's what he exuded, man. And like, look, not every locker room is built for it.
Yeah.
Not every player certainly is built for that. I think Ime Udoka has found a group of guys that buy into that.
Yeah.
And that's what he's like that guy. It's almost like a college coach. Like Udoka's like the first guy that should be running out of the tunnel. Right? Like, 'cause that's what college football is. Right?
100%.
Like
Coach
those
Prime's
guys are
coming
the
through
first
tunnel.
guy. Right?
Yeah.
Right? That's who you, because it's all about like him. Like this is what I've created because of my personality type.
Right.
Give them all the credit in the world. They're fun. They've got young talent. They fight. And everybody's playing.
We're going to go really quickly here on the Oklahoma City Thunder because last night was Hartenstein's debut. Played 29 minutes. Legler, plus 16. Plus 16 in those 29 minutes. 13 points, 14 rebounds, a double-double. Goes 3 assists, 4 block shots. And I'm telling you, man, we joke about it, but he is a guy I really like. I like the talent. But I think I actually might love him in Oklahoma City. I might love him in Oklahoma City.
This is a different kind of Adam's pillow talk. That's not what I meant when I said that.
So here's why. Because he has a wide variety of skills. But here's what I like about him. He blocks shots. He protects the rim. He plays great positional defense. And a lot of times, like Milwaukee used to have this with Brook Lopez, and I think kind of lost it. He's going to play positional defense to give you the angle to be aggressive on the perimeter. Who has better aggressive on-ball defenders than Oklahoma City? They got a bunch of them. And last night, what I saw was he's walling off the paint, and he's very active. He plays incredibly hard. He's walling off the paint, and all of those heat-seeking missiles out on the perimeter, the Carusos, the Dorts, they were flying around, and it was so disruptive. And then on the offensive end, Hartenstein's really good at attacking 4-on-3. He's a better passer than people realize. He could finish at the rim. I just thought, especially in the clutch of that game, when I watched him, I go, that fit is going to be even better than I thought.
You know what we're going to have to do, man? We're going to have to get Isaiah Hartenstein on this show.
Okay.
Sitting in your chair.
It's true.
No, you're not here.
Oh, I'm off? Oh, come on.
You know where you're going to be?
Okay, where?
Right over here.
Okay.
Behind a curtain.
Oh, come on.
There's going to be 3 media people over there. We're going to play the dating game. And based on your answers, you get to hang out with Isaiah Hartenstein for the night. Just go out, get dinner, have beers, right? Just a guy's guy night.
Yep. Yeah,
right?
there you
What do
go.
think? Is that okay?
I think it sounds good.
Yeah,
man.
he's like,
hey,
notice
hey,
he's
you know
laughing.
what
He didn't
sounds-
say I want no part of that show.
Yeah, no, you know what sounds like a good show. Plus 16, man. He makes his debut. He's got all new
Listen.
teammates. He was incredible.
No, here's what stinks about this whole Isaiah Hartenstein. This is almost like a total subculture we've created for
Yeah.
Adam. I now can't be effusive in my praise because he's grabbed all of the real estate. So I have to be the other
You're
guy.
going to have to be the counterweight now.
But in this case,
Yeah.
I cannot.
Yeah.
I defer to my partner.
There you go.
So look, I did not watch the game.
Yeah.
But what I did watch was a melt. It was like 9 minutes long of Isaiah Hartenstein from last night.
He
That's
was
a long
everywhere,
melt
man.
for a guy
Yeah.
that played 29 minutes. And it was everything, man.
Yep.
Screen setting, dives, help defense, offensive rebounding, weak side cutting, and then my favorite play of all, there was a ball that you hear 50-50 balls all the time. This was a 20-80 ball. Absolutely no business getting to this basketball. Bouncing on the ground, going toward half court. He is basically at the foul line. The ball is on the ground, rolling away from him toward half court. There are other players on his team and the other team much closer. He dives on it, rolls at the same time as he's on his backside, and finds, I don't remember who shot it, somebody for a weak side three.
Pure heart, man.
Like direct 3-point offense attributed to one guy wanting that basketball more than anybody else. He also does something that I'm going to point out right now from an X's and O's standpoint. Is a good teaching point. Anybody out there that coaches basketball, I don't care if you're a middle school teacher or you coach college or pros, if there's an NBA coach watching this, the most underrated and underutilized cut in basketball is, and I'll use this example graphically, if the ball is driven, let's just say, along the left baseline, the cut that is available is the cut from wherever you are on the opposite side of the floor into that area that is sort of, it's like an arced cut and it's just below the foul line coming into the center of the lane.
Yeah.
The reason is because all of the defenders are going to turn their head to follow the ball in the baseline. The reason I say the best pass isn't, which they always talk about, drive, baseline, kick, opposite corner. Yeah, you get that sometimes. But the problem is defensively, that guy in the corner, you can kind of also see like this. So you can see that guy and you're ready to react to that pass. You can't see someone cutting from behind you into that open area lane. And Isaiah Hartenstein has perfected it.
Yeah.
The other thing he does once he gets it, immediately gets it up with that soft left-handed little push floater shot.
Don't love it, but he does make it. It's kind of ugly,
He makes
but
it
yeah,
at
he
an
makes
obscene
it.
rate.
Yeah.
Like I would never teach that shot
kinda-
for a big guy because it looks sort of pillow talkish. I'm not going to lie to you. It looks a little soft. Maybe that's why Adam appreciates that shot. But it doesn't touch anything.
Yeah.
It hits the bottom of the net every single time.
Yeah.
So listen, I am going to be reluctant to jump on a Hartenstein when we bring
You'll
him
be
up
there by the end of the year.
because
You'll
there's
be there.
nothing left after this guy gets done with it. But I have to. I love the guy as well. I can't claim him as my guy. That's
Yeah,
obviously a
can't
rule.
do it,
He
man.
claimed him as
Can't
his
do it.
guy. Just like I hope he's sitting next to me for Scottie Pippen Jr.'s Hall of Fame speech when he gets inducted.
Scottie Pippen's my guy.
Scottie Pippen Jr.
Scottie Pippen Jr. is my guy.
How's he your guy?
That's my guy.
How's he your guy? Which one? Oh, you get me worked up right now. Really
That's
getting me
my
worked
guy.
up.
I told you at the start of the year. I
I
said
have a-
Scottie Pippen Jr. is going to have a breakout year.
I have a giant red button on my chest that says Scottie Pippen Jr. on it. If anybody tries to get near it, I was on that way early, way
That's
before
your guy.
I had any
That's
right.
your guy.
We all have our guys.
We
right?
got our guys.
That's my guy. Hartenstein's his guy.
Yeah.
I love him, but it's always going to be a little bit more pronounced coming
Yeah.
from Adam.
You know what? It's funny about Hartenstein, that cut you're talking about, because he kind of has a hunch to him. So when he's doing that cut,
hunch.
he has a hunch. He's almost like creeping in for the cut. It makes it even sneakier looking, you know? Looks like Scooby-Doo or something.
The hunch.
Little hunch. All right, we got some super
That's
chats,
great.
don't we, James? We got a couple
man.
of them. Patrick Rasmussen. And he says, oh, man, I got to get close to read this here. My eyes aren't so good. Legs is on the Mount Rushmore of Denver 10-day contracts with Anthony Mason, Avery Johnson, and who else? I like it.
I don't know who else is on that list. And I misspoke a couple guys that were on the team because it's been a long time, man.
Yeah.
And I played with some of those guys on other teams because I said Michael Adams. No,
Yeah.
I didn't play with Michael Adams
Yeah,
on that team. Fat Lever was definitely.
Really?
With
still
me,
there?
no, I'm saying he was with me in Dallas,
Oh,
but he
okay,
wasn't with
gotcha.
me in
There you
Denver.
go.
So I
I
was
was gonna
trying to
say,
remember
yeah.
the assortment of characters that we had. All I remember is we got scored on a lot.
I think the GOAT 10-day guy is probably Austin Reeves, who got a 10-day going into the playoffs, goes in and had the game that won Denver round one.
Austin Reeves was a
Or
10-day?
Austin Rivers. Sorry, Austin Rivers.
Oh,
Austin
okay.
Rivers.
Austin Rivers was a 10-day Denver guy?
Yeah, 10-day, and he ends up getting a contract right before the playoffs, and he played really well in the playoffs, helping beat Portland in that round.
That's still a pretty good name.
They're pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. All right, what else we got? Jay says, unfortunately stuck at work, so can't come down to the bar to say hello in person. Welcome back to Denver, Legs. Hope Adam is showing you a great time. So far, so good.
So far, it's been tremendous. It's existed of me coming to this bar, hanging out with him, having a couple beers, and doing this show. But no, this is an incredible setup, man. Anybody wants to come? If people allowed to come in and watch?
They come down, man. The Nuggets. This is home base
I mean,
for
I don't know
Nuggets
what
fans.
I don't know. I don't know what your rules are. I could get out of control with you. I mean, with your fan base, I don't know how bad it gets down here.
It gets crazy,
This
man.
is
It
a
gets a
good
little crazy.
setup, man. This is a really cool
It's
setup.
a good place to watch a game, man. Daniel Sinai. It says Hartenstein back for OKC now. 4-day rest. They will come back running. Still the best in the West. Also, shout out to Caruso remembering how to score. He did score a whole lot last night. I mean, he hit a bunch of his little transition shots and cuts and stuff. He finished them, which
I will say this. So I did an Oklahoma City Thunder game against San Antonio early this year, called the game, and I've never heard any coach be that laudatory about a player that was scoring 1.5 points a game the way that his head coach was when we interviewed before the game. And it was interesting because he didn't know what his scoring average was. He was talking about it. He goes, I actually don't even know what his scoring average is. Of course, I had
1.5.
already taken notes at that point. I was like, it's actually like less than 2 points a game. He was like, less than 2 points a game. And there you go. I just talked about the guy for 5 minutes. That tells you all you need to know about Alex Caruso.
Legs. We have another one. Victor Bello at the buzzer. He says, thank you guys so much for this show and your analysis. It's the highlight of my day to listen. I take your analysis and repeat it to my friends so I sound smart. That's the real trick. That's what I do. Whenever Legs isn't here, I'm like, guys, Scottie Pippen Jr., you got to pay attention to this guy. He's unbelievable.
Hey, listen. Whatever you do, though, if you're going to repeat any of the talk, watch out for the pillow talk. Don't go in soft when you repeat these stories.
You know what?
You don't want anybody accusing you of that.
Josh Roberts tells us, Legs, treat yourself to the DNVR special. A Rakia and a Joker energy drink. # all the Nuggets are good. I don't know if have you ever had a Rakia? That's the Serbian
What is
drink.
that?
It's a Serbian brandy.
Really?
We have some at the bar. We might have to have a Rakia as we wrap this thing up. You have to experience it. You're calling the game. You can't call a Jokic game.
Do you remember when last year I called the Denver-Minnesota playoff game?
Okay.
Game 3.
Okay.
I called that game with Mark Jones, so recall the context. Denver loses 2 at home.
Yeah, they win game 3.
They go on the road for game 3. I called that game, and they, of course, win the game.
Yeah.
Jamal Murray had a big bounce back game. Anyway, the reason I tell the story, after the game, we go back to the hotel, go up to the roof, like the rooftop bar or whatever, and we're sitting there, Mark Jones and I, typically, the broadcasters go have a drink and talk about the game. You know who comes in?
It's a Joker?
Not Joker.
Who?
His brother.
His brother? Yeah.
His brother. And I wasn't
Yeah.
sure, but I kind of I was like, I bet you that's Jokic's brother. I wonder if he was drinking those.
I'm sure if they had Rakia. I don't know if they had Rakia in Minneapolis, but you never know.
Wait, is that, so spell that. I can't see too far away from you.
Rakija.
Okay.
Soft J.
Okay.
Rakia. We'll have some. You guys, maybe we'll do a little video. I'll
And it's
tell you
not
how it
named
is.
after Rocky, the mascot.
No.
Okay, that's
it's
because
it's a Serbian
cool.
word.
That's
it's
cool.
what fuels Joker to this triple-double
All right.
average.
Well, if that fuels Joker, I'm in. I'll take some.
Everybody, thank you so much. We're going to be back in studio tomorrow as well. So if you enjoyed this one, you're going to enjoy tomorrow as well. Hit that like button. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.